All right, so we're going to finish up our final video on the types of columns that we can use for gas chromatography. And down here at the very bottom, again, we see a picture of a capillary column that goes into the GC. And we now know that these capillary columns are hollow on the center, and they have this smearing of stationary phase around the internal walls. And those stationary phases are either polysiloxanes or PEGs. And those polysiloxanes can be a number of different versions or varieties for us. And if we take a look at a different look of a column, then this maybe will give you a better idea of the inner layers of the column itself. So this outside brown layer that's pictured in this diagram, that is the protective coating on the column itself. So this helps the column from breaking and snapping, and a little bit of heat resistance to it so that you can heat these things up without any kind of major issues. And then the gray-greener one that's on the second layer, this is the silica. This is actually what the column is made out of. So basically glass. These are glass columns that have a polyimide protective coating on it. And then finally, the internal one that you're seeing here that's a little darker brown or orangey honey color. This is your stationary phase. So you can see it's hollow in the center, and then the stationary phase is smeared on the internal walls of the column itself. And this is where the differences begin to happen. What kind of groups are hanging off of this stationary phase that maybe can hold your samples back and allow them to separate a little bit better inside of the machine. So one of the companies that I would like to at least briefly mention is this company called Phenomenex. And let me minimize my screen here. And Phenomenex is a company that basically does chromatography materials and supplies. So if I needed to order rubber septum, Phenomenex will probably have it. If I needed to order glass inserts, Phenomenex is a company that would have it. And if I needed to order columns, Phenomenex is a company that would have it. So they are really a material and supply company. They're not the only company that are out there, though, but it's one that I can at least mention and show you their website. So phenomenex.com, and if you go to their website and you scroll down, very often they have different applications that will give you ideas about what to do with the instrument that you're wanting to use, and the laboratory procedure maybe to follow through. But here, what we want to look at are the GC accessories and consumables that they have. So I'm just going to click the GC box and see what shows up on Phenomenex's website. Okay. And here is their website with the GC. You're not really seeing a lot of product on the home page. You're just seeing really information on the home page there, but I can at least click GC accessories. And we can go through and take a look at what they sell. So here are inlet liners, which are glass inserts, and the O-rings that typically hold the glass insert in place. Here's some GC columns that we've talked about now. Here's some septa that we've talked about. Here are syringes that you could use to inject your samples with. And then some other pieces and parts as we scroll on down throughout the web page itself. And I'm going to click on GC columns. So we're going to look at GC columns and see what they have to offer. This is what I would do if we were to maybe order a new column for our machine and take a look at what the possibilities are that are out there. All right, so when the web page loads up, you'll see this GC column finder that will show up when you click the GC columns. And this allows you to search their database for all of the different types of GC columns that they have. You can actually go in and type in a method number. If you're doing something by the Environmental Protection Agency or Food and Drug Administration, they will have a method number that will be involved. And you can look up the proper GC column that they have used in that method that you are supposed to be using. And that's a very quick search or a quick way to find out what you need. You can also do part number. If you've ordered it before and you know the item number or part number off of your column, you can just simply go into there, type in the part number, it will pull up and it will show you what's there. And then finally, we can go into application, and that's what I'm going to click, just so you can see the different numbers of fields that GC really plays a part in. So once you click the application, you are going to get a industry choice that sits down here below. So we've got an environmental section, and we've got food testing, and we have pharmaceutical, and we have industrial and fuels, and toxicology and forensics. So I'm going to click toxicology and forensics, not because it has a marijuana leaf, but just because maybe that's a field that interests you, and maybe you see a future career in a forensics laboratory. So here are the different types of compounds that you could analyze using a gas chromatography system. And what they would like for you to do is pick out something that you are interested in measuring, and then they will give you a recommended column for that particular thing. So let's say that I'm working in a research laboratory or a drug laboratory, and an employer goes through and gives everyone a drug test. And the reason they're giving them a drug test is because they want to see if they're maybe smoking marijuana. So I can click the cannabis testing up here at the very top. And then I'll scroll down and it will go through and it will give me a list of different types of GC columns that I could possibly use for that specific purpose. So here, if you take a look at this particular column, it says that this column is a 35% phenol and a 65% dimethyl polysiloxane. So again, it's just a different variety. This column can be heated up to 400 degrees. After that, you don't want to use anything else, any higher temperature, because it will start to destroy the column. It gives me a polarity idea. So it says intermediate, right? This is an intermediate polarity. Hopefully it will separate things mainly based on boiling points, but there is a little bit of polarity associated with it just because of the physical nature of the column itself. And it says this is recommended for high boilers, contaminants, carryovers, and high temperature bakeouts. Here's a ZB5MS Plus. It looks like this one could go up to 350, but the stationary phase is different on that one. This is a 5% phenyl aroline stationary phase. It says it's the next generation of inertness, and it has improved peak shapes and separations of challenging compounds. So these would all be a traditional choice for you if that's what you want it to measure in a laboratory. And then down here at the very bottom, it looks like it has a featured application. And it says this is THC from urine by Screen C on ZB Drug. So I can actually view the application here, and it will give me a very short, brief breakdown of the method and what they decided to use and the settings that they decided to use on the machine itself. So here is the column, and it tells me the dimensions of the column that needs to be ordered and ran on the instrument itself. It looks like the dimension here is a 10-meter long column, and there's 0.18 millimeter and 0.18 micrometer. The oven profile goes up to 320 degrees. It starts at 220. So this gives me an idea of where I start my oven and where the oven stops. So, it gives me the temperature settings. It looks like the injection type. We now know what that means. It's a split injection, and it's a 10-to-1 ratio. I should be injecting 1 microliter of material, and that injector needs to be at 280 degrees. So I told you that these methods tell you exactly what you need to set, and here's an example of that. It looks like it needs a mass selective detector. So this is typically a mass spectrometer or something similar that can see these types of components that come through the machine and out the other end. Okay, so that's what we call an application or a method. And Phenomenex, the reason that I show it is because they do a very good job giving you these types of details whenever you want to run something. Let's say that I would like to know more about this particular type of column. Okay, so we'll click that column and look at more detail. And it will go through and it will give you maybe a larger specification document for you to read and take a look at about what it's used for, what really the actual dimensions are, any kind of special instructions on how to install it, anything else that you can do with the column. So it looks like this one is also for opiates as well. So, if I just didn't want to do THC measurements, I could measure opiates at the same time, and this column would be suitable for that type of purpose. Okay, so this is a real life example, real world example of a company that sells accessories and consumables for you if you are the GC user. Okay, so with that said, we're now going to maybe take a turn and look at a different piece of the instrument. And this next upcoming piece is called the detector. So once again, there's my packed column. Here is my capillary column. This is used the most often. This is the variety pack of choices that I have. And now we're going to go on to the detectors of the actual instrument itself.